a long overdue update on the Bullitt. So it's been about 7 months since my last update, and we're coming up on 3 years here with the Bullitt, and as you can see, it's still all smiles and nothing but love for this car. It's been fantastic. It's still holding up very, very well. The reason why I haven't done more updates is honestly because I still haven't driven this car very much, unfortunately. It upsets me every single time I go out to the garage and I'm, driving either the wife's car or a press car or whatever the case might be. And so, I have, over the past year here, I've put about 2,000 miles on it. And I know that's not a lot. Obviously, COVID had a lot to do with that. There's a lot less road trips and things like that. And, it's also just because of my job. I have press vehicles almost every single week, and I have to drive those a lot so that I can, get a good feel for them, so I can do a good review for you guys. And so because of that, the Bullitt is really, mostly like a weekend car, even though I don't want it to be. I want to daily drive it. I'm not trying to baby this. It just happens to end up being babied because I don't have very many places to go in it. But anyway, over those 2,000 miles, I did do an oil change, even though I had just done one at like 13,500. Right now we're at 15,600 miles. So, definitely, usually I wait until about 5,000 miles to do an oil change, but it's, every 5,000 miles, or at least once every year is what the owner's manual recommends. And so since we were at that year mark, I went ahead and had the oil changed by my buddy Pittsburgh Views, who, did the oil change for me. And it's really nice. He always lets me sit there and watch him do the oil change, so I don't have to be paranoid about some mechanic doing a sloppy job or something. And so, so the car's got a new oil change. I also did the oil analysis from Blackstone Labs and sent the oil into them. They said everything looks great. The engine's wearing in totally normally, looking really good still. So peace of mind as far as, how the engine's looking, as far as, the wear materials and all that stuff in the oil. It seems like it still is aging very well. And so I'm very happy about that. But over those 2,000 miles, another thing to note is last year I didn't actually do the new top coat for the ceramic pro coating, and this car does have a ceramic pro coating, and they recommend doing like a new top layer every year. I didn't do it last year just because of COVID. Just decided to not do it, and especially since the car wasn't being driven much, didn't really see a need to put a new top layer on it, because this ceramic's been holding up really well, and I haven't had it refreshed yet this year either. So you're looking at about 2 years of ceramic coating unrefreshed, and still looks really good, still repels the water very well, and looks fantastic. The Expel paint protection film that I have here, underneath the ceramic coating, that also has still been holding up very well. And again, yes, I'm only at 15,000 miles here, but it just goes to show that also with age, it still looks really well. So obviously it's not getting beaten up by tons of miles, but it also isn't peeling or yellowing or anything like some of those old paint protection films used to way back when. There's none of that here after 3 years at least. It still looks really good, and I believe Expel does have like a 10-year guarantee on the film that it won't peel or yellow or anything like that. But that's all holding up very well. And so as far as since I've only driven it about 2,000 miles in the past year, there aren't any new revelations about the car to really share with you guys. But there are still several other little updates here about the car. So first off, it now has a new home. We moved here a few months back, and so the Bullitt was always garage, but now the Bullitt shares a garage with my wife's Mercedes C300, which we'll be doing a review on very soon here, hopefully, fingers crossed. So keep an eye out for that. One big thing here for the Bullitt that's coming up is that once I hit that 3-year mark in the beginning of July, this vehicle will be out of its regular warranty. And I have been considering extending the warranty with Ford's official extended warranty, not this stupid, robocalls you're always getting, but actually doing a legit extended warranty on this. And I still am undecided on that because they aren't cheap, and it's one of those gambles. You can take your risk and hope that everything works out okay, but you just never know. So I'm kind of still up in the air about that. I welcome any of your thoughts as far as if any of you have any experience with Ford's extended warranty and stuff. But really, the only thing I'm worried about with this vehicle that won't be covered under warranty here, pretty soon, is the air conditioning. So that is one thing. Whenever I had my second 2019 Mustang GT, that did have the air conditioning go out, and that's a common issue with these S550 Mustangs generally. Not all of them have that issue, but I think it's a design flaw with the evap core, I believe, for the AC. I'm not a mechanic, so I'm probably butchering that explanation. But something in the air conditioning isn't super durable, and so that's the only thing I'm worried about, because that can be expensive. If you do have to replace all those AC components, it can get to be pretty pricey. But that is the only thing that I'm really worried about, because like I said, the engine sounds like it's wearing in great, and obviously with the powertrain warranty you still have on this, it's a 5-year 60,000 mile warranty, so I still got 2 more years before I have to worry about coverage for the engine, which is why I'm kind of procrastinating with doing an extended warranty right now. But maybe once I get closer to that powertrain warranty expiring, then maybe I will do something. We'll have to see about that. Another interesting thing, if you've been following anything in current events, especially as far as the whole pricing of everything these days is just going crazy in the car market, and I've noticed that on the Bullitt forums on Facebook that I follow, that there's been a lot of people getting very high offers, especially from the online car buying services that are giving people like almost MSRP for their Bullits. About maybe a year or so ago, Bullits were actually falling pretty quickly, and some were even going for just like high 30,000s, like 38 grand or so for a Bullitt, which MSRP was about 50 grand. And not that I really care about the value of this vehicle, because I bought mine to keep it forever. I don't care how the value swings, but it's just very interesting that some people have been getting offers from these car buying sites for like 48 grand or thereabouts. 46 to 48,000 is the range I've seen for Bullits like mine with about 15,000 miles on a 3-year-old car that's still been driven a decent bit, that is still going to be valued currently almost at its MSRP price. And I won't lie, I have to admit, it was tempting seeing that, and knowing how much equity I now have in this car. It is tempting, and especially I do really love the new GR86 that's coming out. I'm very excited about those, and the BRZ. I do have that sentimental part of me that kind of wants another BRZ, but I can't get rid of this car. I love it too much. It's still such a special experience. That's the one thing, is yes, I don't get to drive it all the time, but with the usual press cars being crossovers and just ordinary sedans, I do have a lot of really sweet stuff I get to review as well, but those are kind of the few and far between ones, and most of the common stuff is stuff that isn't super exciting. And so getting in this, even if it is just once in a blue moon, and this special experience of just the loud exhaust, the crackles and pops from the exhaust, the manual transmission, the fun rear-wheel drive driving dynamics, and kind of a little bit of a less, as far as safety tech and nannies, I don't have any of the extra stuff like you get in a lot of super modern cars here in the past couple of years. This is just a very refreshing and engaging experience, and so I think that's why I have to keep this car. I love it way too much to ever get rid of it. Another thing that's been making it harder to drive the Bullitt recently is because we just had our little baby girl that was born back in April, and so anytime we go out as a family, we always have to take the wife's car, because this does have a back seat. You can fit a rear-facing car seat in it, but it is definitely a pain to get in there, and it's a tight squeeze, and you don't really have any use of the passenger seat whenever you do have a baby seat back there. So anytime that we're going out as a family, we always have to take her car, and a GR86 wouldn't help that at all either. And so that's just another thing that makes it tough to justify. I do drive this vehicle whenever I'm out on my own, running errands, while Beth's at home with the baby and stuff, but aside from that, this vehicle just still sits and waits for me to have more time to drive it. By the way, this is still just normal mode for the exhaust. I still love this active exhaust and how I can just flip of a switch here, put it into my mode, which makes it fully loud for the exhaust, and then you have way more noise if you want it. I still just love that. And by the way, that active exhaust still after 3 years here works totally fine, no issues with it whatsoever. Some other people have had it where, especially if they modify the exhaust at all or something, it gets all screwed up. Thankfully, I keep this car stock, and I'm planning to keep it stock so that I never have to worry about having any of those kind of glitches or anything. So thankfully mine's been totally good, haven't had any issues whatsoever. But even a few people that have kept it stock have had issues with that. So I'm glad that this car has been problem-free for me still here, even though, again, it's not a ton of miles, but at least with the age, it still continues to hold up really well, and it still drives so well, handles so well. I just love everything about this thing still. And also, while we're talking about wear items and things like that too, I'm going to go ahead and put it back into the normal mode here, because I usually like flying a little more under the radar. But Also, the tires are still holding up well. Again, only 15,000 miles and change, but these Michelin Pilot Sport Forest tires still are doing a really good job and still have tons of meat on them. They're not even close to being out of tread, so they're great. The brakes are also really good. Every once in a while, I will hear a tiny bit of a squeak out of the Brembos, but it's not consistent, and it just happens every once in a while. So, not a big deal, and I think they still have, again, plenty of life in them as well, since there's, again, only 15,000 miles on them. But yes, that's basically it as far as the update on the Bullitt here. I wish, again, there was more to talk about, and I am still going to continue to try and drive this thing more as much as I possibly can here over the next year, and I'll do probably another update maybe at 20,000 miles or something once I hit that, whenever that ends up being. But in the meantime, just know I'm still loving this car. It still puts a huge smile on my face, and I still highly recommend it to anyone that wants one or is considering getting one down the road. These Bullitts are really special, and all 2019 Mustangs. I still love, the rev matching. This engine is so good, and much of that is transferred to the Mach 1, which I'm hoping to review at some point. As far as I know, there aren't any in the press fleet in my area, but I'm hoping to review a Mach 1 at some point because I'd love to try out that Tremec. But I still have no issues with this MT82. I know everyone loves to complain about it. I don't have any complaints with mine. It's totally been fine, problem-free. It's locked me out of second gear at at the red line a couple of times, and that's it. And honestly, it's been over a year since it's done that to me, at all. So I mean, there's the squealing from the Brembos. It doesn't happen all the time, but that is, again, a common thing I think with these Brembos too. But it's very minor. It's not embarrassing like some other race car pads are whenever you drive around with a vehicle with those or something. But anyway, so yeah, that's all my thoughts. No need to ramble on anymore. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on the Bullitt in the comments below. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.